This is All India Radio. In the program Spotlight, now we bring you a discussion on Chintan Shivir Strengthening Cooperative Federalism. The participants are Ashok Tandon, political analyst, and Sanjay Jha, journalist.
In an endeavor to provide national perspective to policy formulation on internal security-related matters, Ministry of Home Affairs had organized a two-day brainstorming sessions with the Home Minister of all the states on several internal security issues. Mr. Tandon, what are the important subjects for deliberations at this important meeting?
No, as you very rightly said, this Chintan Shivir, which literally means, as you said, is a brainstorming session. Now, in effect, it is a conference of state home ministers and director generals of state police, DGPs, forces. And as you also very rightly mentioned, that the Shivir is in the spirit of cooperative federalism, and it will bring more synergy in planning and coordination between various stakeholders at center and state levels. And participants, which are, as I said, are the home ministers and DGPs. In fact, the home secretaries of state and DGPs of all central armed forces and central police organizations are also attending this conference. And they are expected, which they did during the last 2 days, they were expected, which they did, and they deliberated on issues like modernization of police forces, cybercrime management, increased use of IT in the criminal justice system, land border management, coastal security, women's safety, and drug trafficking, among other various issues. And the Prime Minister addressed the participants today, and the 5 pledges which the Prime Minister had outlined during his address to the nation on Independence Day from the ramparts of Red Fort, these 5 pledges working to have a developed India by 2047. That was the mission which the Prime Minister set out. And today again, when he addressed this conference, he outlined these 5 pran, as he called at Red Fort. But one very pertinent thing which he said before we come to other issues was that PM floated an idea. He never said that it is something which is binding. The idea which he floated is that one nation, one uniform for police. He said it's just an idea. And he said, I'm not trying to impose it on the states. Just give it a thought. It may happen. It may happen in 5, 50 or even 100 years. So it was a food for thought which he has given to the states, because the law and order is a state subject under the Constitution of India. And the 2-day conference was held at Surajkund in Haryana, very close to Delhi. And one of the ideas which I outlined, but another very significant point the Prime Minister made today. See, the fake news and the need to fact-checking. And this is one emphasis which the Prime Minister made about the media. See, unfortunately, fake news on social media and other platforms is, creating a lot of crisis-like situations in the country. So that was another very important takeaway from today's conference, and of course from the Prime Minister's address, which he did via video conferencing. And then Prime Minister also said that why he was suggesting one police and one uniform, one nation, because he said that the identity of the police across the country could be identical. He didn't say should be identical. And he urged the state governments to review all old laws and amend them to the current context for coordinated action by all the agencies to meet the emerging challenges of the law and order and security. He said, because this was very important, to maintain a good perception of police, and the wrongs here should be addressed. Police and intelligence agencies should cooperate with each other to ensure efficiency, better outcome, and protection to the common man. So PM gave a number of other suggestions, and he said good old system of generating human intelligence by the police and security agencies now should be strengthened for achieving better results, and for that he emphasized on the technology. Every state should learn get inspired from each other and work together for internal security. So working together of states for internal security is a constitutional mandate as well as a responsibility towards the nation. So because India is a cooperative federalism and we are an ideal example of successful functioning of the cooperative federalism, and therefore the coordination between states is very important. And I would again like to come back on the fake news syndrome. And he said, the Prime Minister, that fact check of such news is a must, and technology plays a big role in it.
Mr. Tandon, you rightly pointed out all the suggestions made by Prime Minister while speaking at this conference. States in India plays a very important role in maintaining law and order and preventing any kinds of crime. And Prime Minister Modi advocated close cooperation among the states to tackle crimes and criminals. And he said cooperative federalism was not only the filling of the constitution, but also the responsibility of the states and the center. You know, in the modern time, we have seen that sometimes the two states are not on the same page while tackling kind of crime, whether it's a terrorism or normal criminal activities. So this kind of conference and Prime Minister's suggestion of cooperating, between two states.
This particular Chintan Shivir, as the name was given, is a mechanism. As I said in the past, over the years, it used to be called as the Conference of the State Home Ministers. Now a name has been given, different name, because what the Prime Minister and also the Home Minister, Mr. Amit Shah, who conducted and convened this meeting, his idea was that let there be an interaction among the police forces as well as the Home Ministers who maintain law and order, and there should be an exchange of ideas. Let there be a debate. That's why it's called a Chintan Shivir. That means you interact with each other, do brainstorming session, come up with suggestions, and then recommend these suggestions to the central government, wherever central government needs to do, amend the law, revoke the obsolete laws, and at the same time there are so many laws which are the domain of the state governments also. So therefore, when he talks of reviewing or scrapping of old laws and amending them to the current context, it is the responsibility of both the states as well as the center. It is in the larger interest of maintaining law and order in all parts of the country, and therefore, and he again, as I said earlier, laid a lot of emphasis on technology transformation and adopting of the latest artificial intelligence to be brought into the governance of the law and order machinery, our police forces and our paramilitary forces. And so therefore, it was a very useful conference today, and hopefully it will yield very positive results. And we have to yet wait for an official briefing at the end of this 2-day conference, because today we heard the Prime Minister talking with these police officers and the State Home Minister in great detail, touching upon a lot of points and also getting a feedback from them. The Home Minister who was present both the days, Mr. Amit Shah, he received a lot of inputs from the State Home Minister and their suggestions. There may be certain complaints also. So this kind of interactive section, I think, is very useful, not only in strengthening the cooperative federalism system in India, but also having a sort of close cooperation among the states to tackle crime and the criminals, because these days the criminals operate in one state and they go and get shelter in other states, and the question of the jurisdiction comes in the way. So therefore, the cooperative federalism is not the feeling of the constitution, but the responsibility of the states also to ensure that the cooperative federalism is working and working successfully in India.
Mr. Tandon, you spoke about Prime Minister's speech today. Prime Minister has, made some very fascinating suggestions, and India is going to be the most populous country in a month's time, in November, as the UN Population Fund says. So we have a big challenge as an emerging country. So Prime Minister, when he talks about that reviewing the old laws and amend them in the current context, and he said, that coordination by all the agencies to meet emerging challenges of law and order and security. We spoke about how the states have to come together to fight the crime and to tackle any kind of law and order situation. Sometimes we see the issues between two agencies also in the country, whether it's between two central police forces or between two organizations of the one state and another organizations. How is that important and antiquated laws? There is a move to talk about that. Do you think these deliberations will convince the stakeholders to come out and amend the laws as per the need of the modern time?
Prime Minister began his speech on a very positive note and said that today the atmosphere all over the country is of festivity. Onam, Dasara, Durga Puja, Deepavali, so many festivals, they all converge on one thing, that the peace and tranquility has to be maintained in all parts of the country. That is why we celebrate our festivals. And then he said the Chhat Puja is also coming and there are a lot of preparations going on. And the festivals to unite, to cultivate and inculcate a sense of unity among people. And that is reflected because law and order may be the state subject, but while ensuring law and order, particularly during the festival, that also is a way of strengthening India's unity and integrity. Having said that, then he said that it made a very plain speaking, a candid point which the Prime Minister raised, that we need to change the perception about the police. The perception about the police, unfortunately, is not to the extent it should be, because we have to ensure good governance in every state, in every segment of the society, and people must have confidence in our system of governance. And therefore, it is very pertinent that we must transform the perception of police among the people, like NDRF, which they reach every nook and corner of the country to help the people. Similarly, we should also ensure that police also reaches very promptly and quickly at the scene of crime, and they must ensure that people have confidence in them. And he gave the example of police doing a good job during the corona pandemic, when police really enjoyed the confidence of people and enjoyed good reputation. That was one message which he gave to the state police agencies as well as to the state home minister.
India has a large border, the water border, the land border. So it is very important for us to have a proper land border management and coastal security. How important is that, keeping in mind our border situation?
There was an emphasis at the two-day Chintan Shivir about modernization of the police forces, because now PM also mentioned that the criminals are now getting equipped with the latest technology. Therefore, our police forces also need to be modernized given the latest technology, information technology, and to ensure, particularly as you have also rightly said, our border, our coastal areas, and also security of women, particularly as part of the internal security. Now we are talking about New India to emerge and Atmanirbhar Bharat to emerge by 2047. This can be achieved only if we have the empowerment of women. So therefore, not only the security and safety of women is very paramount, but their participation also in the process, like joining police forces, is also very important.
Absolutely, Mr. Tandon, you rightly pointed out, as the Prime Minister said, that we have to think about developing a common platform for technology that can be shared by all. And the best practices of one state can be shared with others. And the whole purpose of having all the stakeholders from different states and other law enforcement agencies come together and brainstorm and come out with a common solution for the welfare of the country. And a smart technology should be adopted for a smarter law and order system. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on Chintan Shivir, Strengthening Cooperative Federalism. The participants are Ashok Tandon, political analyst, and Sanjay Jha, journalist. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. You can listen to it on our mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official. You may email your opinion about this program at airnsdtalks@gmail.com.